Whippersnappers, it's Tortimer the Grey. Welcome back to another very exciting episode here on Tortimer the Grey Gaming, because today is our 500 subscribers special. Super excited to get into this with you guys, super excited to be hitting this milestone, and I want to thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, for subscribing to me, for watching, for being great about commenting and liking and things like that. I'm truly blessed to have so many friends out there. And you guys are really great. We don't really have many trolls and I mean, for the large and away, my whippersnappers are some of the best subs that are out there. So I want to thank you guys so much for being part of that, being part of the whippersnapper army there. And I really, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And thank you guys also, for keeping up that trend with the Q&A request. You guys gave me some great questions. And I think that, we're going to have a lot of fun here. But we've got a ton to get through, so I'm going to continue to gush. But let's head on and continue on by doing some questions. The gang's all here, though. Blastoise and Boots and Tip Top and Torterra. Deku's there, and oh, Deku. And Fluffy's even here, so even though the texture pack makes her look weird, Fluffy's here as well. So let's get started here, guys. We're gonna head through into the portal, and that's gonna take us on to the rest of the special. So I'll see you guys there in just a minute. Alright, guys. So we are back on the Decimon server. I figured that this would give me the most freedom to kind of just answer questions and talk to you guys, as well as being a good mix between the rest of my series. I was thinking, how am I gonna really communicate what I need to communicate? If I did Showdown, which is my most popular series, then I'm constantly gonna be switching through battles and stuff. I'm gonna have to actually be thinking about what I'm doing in the game, and I really I didn't want to be distracted that much. If I did, Far Side, well, the Pokemon people, there's really nothing there for them while I'm doing it. Hexath'locke's hard to do, so I figured Decimon would probably be the best place for me to do this. So I know some of you guys may not watch Decimon, but that's not really going to be critical for this special, because what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be running around, maybe doing some Pokemon grinding, things like that. If you guys see something that interests you and you haven't been watching the series, please feel free to. Obviously all of my series are here on my channel, so everything's nicely organized in playlists and stuff, so make sure you check that out if it's something you see something that interests you. But what we're going to be doing today is, and I just closed my, gosh darn it, there we go. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be answering some of the questions, pretty much all the questions. There was a couple just dumb questions, but for the most part, I don't think there was it wasn't like, oh, that was a stupid question. It was people were trying to be stupid. It was some anyway, completely irrelevant. Let us get into it, though, because you guys were so good at giving me questions that we've got a lot to get through. I've kind of broken these into categories, just as an FYI. I broke them into the categories, and so they're organized by categories, so you may see your name pop up a number of times through this special. I will get to all of your questions, so if you see one of your questions pop up but I don't get to the other ones, do not worry. It'll probably be showing up later in the episode. So, all right. So we're going to start at the top with our gaming categories. I've broken it up kind of into, the questions seem to fall into gaming and life and YouTube related questions. So pretty awesome. I'm excited about all this, so let's get into it. Starting with gaming. From the Espresso Cat, my good friend eCat here on YouTube, he asked, what is my favorite type of Pokemon? And this is a great question, and honestly it was a lot harder to think of than I probably would have thought. I've always kind of in the past, when I was thinking, well, if I was a gym leader, what type would I do? I always kind of settled on water types. I think I love all water types. There's lots of great water types. Squirtle is great, and there's lots of really nice water types. I love Gyarados. I mean, I've got Gyarados here, Quagsire, Swampert. I mean, there's so many good water types, and so I think for the longest time I probably would have said water type definitively. As I've really been doing more competitive battling and trying out a lot of different Pokemon and different types and how things work and things like that, especially with this game. So let's, I think, on this server, I'm the ground type gym leader, which is really awesome. I put together an amazing team of ground types, which I'm really excited about this team. And so this is my gym if you guys aren't aware. But I've got, so I've got all these great ground types, and some of them are some of my absolute favorites. Torterra and Mamoswine are two of my absolute favorite Pokemon. Gligar is one of my favorite, or Gliscor is one of my favorite Pokemon. So Nidoking is one of my, so I think a lot of my favorites are ground types, so I would say maybe ground type too. But I think I can't really pin down one. But water types, ground types. I also, one of my up there in that top 3 is gonna have to be normal types, and that might sound weird, but honestly, some of my favorite Pokemon are normal types. Apom, Ambipom, Snorlax, Kangaskhan, Wigglytuff. I mean, there's so many Pokemon that I'm just a huge fan of. And normal types, I always like to have a normal type on my team because I love that type. They get so few weaknesses. I know fighting type's pretty prevalent in like competitive and stuff, but in game and things like that, it's a great typing to use. They hit real hard. They're normally either bulky or real fast, and it's just, I love the normal types. So I don't know if I can pick one, but of those 3, those are probably some of my absolute favorites. So thank you, Ecat. Great question. The Beaver BA, he asked similar, well, not real similar, but he asked, what is my favorite Pokemon of all time? And far and away, there's really no, well, I mean, there may be competition now, but honestly, it's not even really close. Squirtle is my absolute favorite Pokemon, far and away. I mean, I love Apom, and I love Torterra, and Umbreon, and, well, we'll get into all that later. Somebody asked me what my favorite 6 Pokemon are, and we'll get into that. But, I love all those Pokemon, but it's really, it's very hard to compete with Squirtle for me. I love turtles. And so that was kind of a big contributing factor, but honestly, it's a lot of it is nostalgia too, and I mean, there's 700 plus Pokemon now, and frankly, I still there's lots of Pokemon I like, but honestly, nothing competes with with Squirtle for me. I've been playing Pokemon longer than maybe some of you guys have been alive. Pretty much the day it hit North America, me and my brother, we got them for our little Game Boy Colors. I mean, we've been playing Red and Blue, or we started playing with Red and Blue when that first came to the States. So 16 years ago now, I think, is something. So, yeah, it would be hard to compete with the nostalgia factor. Squirtle was the first ever Pokemon I ever used, and he's just such a cute little turtle guy, and I love him. I just love him so much. More than Wartortle, more than Blastoise, it's Squirtle for me. So thank you, Beaver, for that great question. From Scad, Scadrell, he's one of my longtime subs. Who is your favorite gym leader and why? And I actually really had to think about this one, so it was a good question. I think I've narrowed it down to 2. I really like Watson. He's just like a goofy old man, and since my avatar, I kind of associate with him. And I really like him. He's kind of an involved character, more so than a lot of gym leaders in the games. He gives you side quests and things like that. He's just a kind of a fun guy, and I think he'd be fun to hang out with. Ooh, I got a heal here. Also, I kind of had to throw Brock in there because I grew up on the anime, and Brock was by and far one of the best traveling companions that Ash ever had in the anime. I mean, they've had other gym leaders. They had Silent, or whatever the guy's name is, in the Gen 5 anime, which was so bad I just had to stop watching. He was like Brock, like ultra light, like not even close. So he was supposed to be the Brock character. He's like, oh, I'm the first gym leader and I cook, but he was so unbearable. But Brock was just awesome. Bros for life. Brock was a great guy in the anime, and so I've always kind of liked Brock. So yeah, great question. Pretty much just because I associate with them as characters, or I just enjoy their character. Most gym leaders are so one-dimensional; they just kind of stand there, and those guys may not have my favorite teams or my favorite types, but I really enjoy them as characters, so that's great. Scad also asked, he had another gaming type question. What is your favorite non-Nintendo game or series? Which is another great question. And I've got 2. For a long, long time, my favorite game series in general, not even non-Nintendo, I loved it even more than Pokemon or any of my other Nintendo series, was the Jak and Daxter series. And I don't know if you guys have ever played those. They're a little bit older at this point. They were from the last generation. Well, no, 2 generations ago. They were mainly on the PS2. I think they might have had... Well, they did have a port over to the PS3 and stuff, but they were Naughty Dog, which is the same developers as The Last of Us and Uncharted. That was the franchise that Naughty Dog had prior to going over to the PS3 and starting Uncharted and things like that. But it was a platformer. It was kind of like a, back in the day you had like Banjo and Kazooie and Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, where you had like the little partner guy in there with you. So like Banjo had Kazooie and Ratchet had Clank. Well, Jak and Daxter was kind of my favorite of all those games. I loved all those games. Lag. I loved all those games a lot, but Jak and Daxter for sure was kind of my first real exposure. Like, we had only had Nintendo games growing up. I'm actually going to just sleep. We had Nintendo. Well, that's not true. We had a Sega Genesis, but really we never had a PlayStation or anything like that. So when we had some neighbors, I guess, and I got paid to babysit these kids when I was a kid, and all those kids wanted to do, 2 little boys, they were great, all they wanted to do was watch me play video games. That's how I kept them entertained. So they had a PS2, and they had the Jak and Daxter game, and so that was kind of my first exposure to it. And it was the best job ever, because their mom paid me very well to play video games and keep their kids entertained, which was fantastic. So loved that job. The game was amazing. Jak 2 and Jak 3 were equally as good, if not better, or a bit different tone. Jak and Daxter, Precursor Legacy, was kind of a light-toned game. Got a little darker, more not really. I mean, it was still very light and comedic, but a little bit of a darker tone in the other 2 games. But all of them were just amazing. I love those games so much, and I probably do like them even more than this next one. But I also, if I mention those, I've got to mention in my other favorite franchise, which is the Mass Effect series, which is definitely darker in tone, far more mature. For those of my kid viewers, I would not necessarily recommend you go play the Mass Effect games. It is a mature-rated game, I think. But just great storytelling, great characters, an amazing just game in general. So much to do, wide, expansive universes, a lot of fun. I love the Mass Effect games too, so definitely have to mention that in my favorite non-Nintendo games. Favorite and least favorite gaming system, asks Skullring666, one of my friends here from the Decimon server and a loyal viewer. Skull, I could not come up with a least favorite gaming system. I don't know that I've ever really played one that like I just hated so much. Like I don't know. I've played a lot of gaming systems, I guess, but I don't know that there's one that I'm like, wow, that was really, really bad. I think every gaming system, for the most part, probably has its merits. I'm sure there are some bad ones out there, but I have not necessarily played them. But some of my favorites, definitely, discounting like PC, because I do mostly PC gaming these days, but, from my childhood, the N64 could not be beat. We had GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie and Mario Kart and Smash Bros. And, oh man, as a kid, even today, it's hard to think of having more fun with a system than me and my brothers had with the N64. That was just prime time, so amazing. Loved the N64. Also in there would have to be the Sega Genesis. Come on, give me an egg, kids. Ooh, I do have an egg. Oh, there it is. It just wasn't showing up. Sega Genesis was another great system, and I really, really loved using that system. But it's been a long way away. But yeah, when I was growing up, definitely Sega Genesis was up there. We played that system to death. Me and my brothers, we did. I think we had that one before we got the N64. I would imagine that would be its time frame. We went from the NES. Yeah, we went NES, and then I don't think we had an SNES. I think we went NES to Sega Genesis. And then we got the N64 after that. So, yeah, amazing system. Loved all of those games. We had some great Sonic games and Toe Jam and Earl, and, we had some great Ninja Turtle games. Hyperstone Heist, I had been playing that on my channel until those old games are hard, man. I think it's because the controls are bad. I have not been able to get past the most recent level, so I haven't recorded an episode in it in a while. But yeah, Sega Genesis was amazing as well. We got to keep going here. Got to speed these things up. So some of these I'm going to have to fly through, and I won't be able to give great explanations necessarily. But thank you, Skull, for that question. Least favorite Pokemon and why? Also from Skull. I had to really look at them because it's hard. Through competitive battling, I've really kind of grown attached to some Pokemon that I maybe wouldn't have used or liked at all previously. But I still couldn't have to go to for design wise. Garbodor and or Amoonguss. Definitely probably Amoonguss over Garbodor. I think Garbodor is terrible, but Amoonguss is even worse because it's just like the least subtle Pokemon ever. It just has like, it's a mushroom that has like Pokeballs stacked all over it. It's just horrible to look at, and I can't find any. I mean, Fungus I've been using a little bit. It's pre-evolution in Little Cup, but man, Amoonguss is horrible. But in with that, I've got to add, so design-wise, probably that. But also in with design-wise and just vehement hate, I have to go with like a lot of the legendaries. Really, after like Gen 3, they just went legendary overboard, and it was so bad. Just really unbearable to deal with, because they've got, like, I think Gen 4 and 5 had like more than a dozen legendaries or something like that. Like legendaries, they're supposed to be super rare and da-da-da. No, they had a dozen of them. And that was really, it was just not cool. Because half of them you could only get through like events or something like that. And like, for the longest time, our Wi-Fi at home was not a format that like my DS could connect to. So like I couldn't never get any of those. A lot of the ones where you had to go to a store, it's like there's so many Pokemon that have no bearing on the game at all. Like if a legendary, so like I don't necessarily like the design of Reshiram, but like at least it was integral to the game. Whereas like some of these like Manaphy, like there are legendaries that you may not even know existed until you like were looking at a list of Pokemon. You're like, oh, what is that thing? And it's just so unnecessary. And like in Gen 5, you had the genies or whatever. It was literally the exact same sprite recolored, and they had different typings or whatever. And they may be great Pokemon in their core, like in their coding, they may be great. But design-wise, they're just so unbearable, and they got these stupid forms. Like, a lot of the legendaries have got a lot of hate for, because they're just dumb. There's too many of them, and they're just not well thought out, and they're just, like, thrown in there. Like Diancie. It's an event legendary that nobody's even, like, I don't even know if it's been distributed yet, but it's like one of the few, it's the only Gen 6 Pokemon who has a Mega Evolution. Like, it's a Pokemon that maybe nobody even has at the moment. And I could be wrong on that. Maybe it got distributed and I just didn't hear it. But, it's a Pokemon that maybe nobody has. It's the only Gen 6 Pokemon who got a Mega Evolution. And I don't know. It's dumb. It's dumb. Anyway, enough of that rant. There's a lot of legendaries I don't like. Only named a few there. Just legendaries in general after Gen 3, not a huge fan of. Okay, so thank you, Skull, for those two questions. What is your favorite game growing up and why? Killer Komodo, thank you for that. Killer Komodo 37, rather. Thank you for that question. I'm going to just say simply Pokemon. Pokemon was one of the first games that, well, not one of the first games. We had systems dating back to the NES, but it was one of those games that I really got into for myself. Like, my brother was always kind of the gamer, and like I was a couple years younger than him, so I was into it too. And I had a lot of fun with it. But Pokemon was one of the first games that, I mean, he's always been better at it than me. And continues to be to this day probably, but I think that Pokemon for sure. If I had to look at my childhood as a whole, growing up, Pokemon. There's lots of games I loved like Jak and Daxter and stuff, but Pokemon far and away longest running franchise, and I still love it to this day. So thank you so much, Killer Komodo, for that question. Let's see, we gotta move faster. Favorite 6 Pokemon. Nessarius does things. Thank you, Ness, for asking this. I'll run through them quickly and then we'll move on. If you guys have been watching my stuff, none of these should really be a surprise to you. But if I were going to create like a team of Pokemon, like in real life, if I were to get a team... Oh, hey, Umbreon, you're still out. If I were to get a team of Pokemon, I could only have 6, a full team. These would be the Pokemon I would get. It would be Torterra, Squirtle, Aipom, Charizard, Heracross, and Umbreon. I think those would probably be my top 6 favorite Pokemon. You guys may be surprised by maybe like Charizard. I haven't talked a lot about Charizard. I don't use Charizard really frequently, but I just love Charizard. It's a dragon, and he's nostalgic, and there's for me, I don't know that I could pick out a better fire type than like Charizard. So he can fly and everything. I think he's awesome. So those are probably my top 6. Most of those probably shouldn't be a surprise, so we're going to move on. Hasty Swamper, another good quick question here. Have I ever considered doing a randomized Nuzlocke? The simple answer is yes, and I intend to at some point. At this point, I'm running the Hexath'locke, which is a long-running series, so it probably won't happen until that's done. Maybe I'll do a randomized Nuzlocke next summer or something. I don't know. It's definitely something that I'll do eventually, I would think. But at this point, I don't like running 2 Nuzlockes at the same time. It didn't really work out for me when I was doing the Little Lock and the Hexath'locke. And I think you guys only had enough time to give interest to one. So like the Hexath'locke was getting views and the Little Lock was not. So it's not worth doing 2 at a time because I just don't have the time and you guys don't have the energy to watch 2. So eventually, maybe, yeah, we'll definitely do a randomized Nuzlocke. You can keep your eye out for that. If my friend Espresso Cat ever gets back on the YouTubes, he had talked to me about potentially doing a randomized tag lock or like a dual lock where we kind of race each other or something like that. I don't know. I don't really remember all the details of that, but that might be something that would be fun too. So certainly we'll be seeing that at some point. Favorite thing I built in Minecraft from Eddie Mukros. A friend of mine from Farside Server. Thank you, Addy, for coming over and giving me some questions. Favorite thing I built in Minecraft, it's difficult. Probably a couple of things. I can't narrow it down to one. I don't consider myself an amazing builder, but there's several projects that I really like. And, well, most of my projects, I build them if I really like them. Like, I don't build a lot of like, worthless junk. In fact, I speak out against worthless junk a lot. But probably from my single-player Minecraft series back in the day, Creep Tut. Nothing really special there. It's a creeper statue that's, you know, pixel by pixel, the same size as, or right size as a creeper would be. And then I put like an Egyptian like headdress and thing on it, like a pharaoh statue would have. I call it Creep Tut. It was the kind of the encasement to my. Let's get somebody else out here. It was kind of the encasement. There we go. The encasement of my mob farm. Like the pipes, they would come up. This kind of encased it. And so that was one of my favorite things. I just thought it looked cool. Nothing real special or anything, but... oh, come on. Ant froze. Oh, Sturdy, are you kidding me here? So that one definitely... I think certainly the Hobbit Hole on the Farside server, one of my absolute favorites. I really love... Again, nothing super fancy. I'm not a real fancy builder. You're not going to look at mine and be like, man, that guy's a master builder. But I try to build things that I think will look cool. And I think definitely my gym here... especially up on the surface. I think I need to do a lot of work underground still. I think it's a little plain. But definitely up here, I love my gym. So that's something really cool. And I'll probably be putting pictures of those other builds up on the screen here so you guys can see them if you're not familiar. But yeah, thank you for that great question, Addy. Those are probably the 3 builds that I'm most proud of. A lot of stuff out at my base right now on the Farside server I'm really enjoying as well. My fortress is something I planned for a long time, and it's not done yet, but I'm pretty excited about that one. So actually, I do want to go down here, switch out my team a little bit. So thank you, Addy, for that. D-Miner, one of my friends from Decimon here, he asked, if you were to change one thing about life in general, what would it be? And, you know, for the most part, my life is pretty good. I enjoy my life. But if I had to, like, change something about life in general, I would probably, so often you just see people being horrible to each other. And honestly, there's no call for that. Like, people are people, and there's really no reason why we can't all get along or treat people with, like, some semblance of decency. So if I could change one thing about life, it would be, just that people are just not good to each other. And, there's so many, I'm a Christian. I don't really hide that. A lot of my sagely wisdom stuff comes from, Bible verses and things that I think have relevance and all that. But, but I think from any group, you're going to get people who twist messages of things. So, I mean, there's lots of people who do horrible things in the name of Christianity. And that, I hate that, too. If I could change one thing, it would be people, not doing that. Because I think it gives people who believe in things that are inherently good, bad names. But, I mean, there's lots of groups out there that, like, their core beliefs are treat people well. and a lot of people belong to a lot of these groups, and yet a lot of them do horrible things. And so I would just, like for people to practice what they preach, and for everyone who, even if you are preaching to do terrible things, which I'm not saying like religions do, but I just mean like if that's what your philosophy is, I would hope that you stop doing that, because there's so much hurt and pain in the world, and so much of it is unnecessary. So that would probably be one of the things that I would change about life. D-Miner, thanks for the great question. D-Miner also asked, how you doing? I'm doing great, buddy. I'm doing a 500 subscriber special, which is amazing. And you guys are great, and I'm so ecstatic to be at this point. Did I heal? Did that happen? Very well may have. Okay. So thank you, D-Miner, for those great questions. Scad, we're in the life category now, just FYI. Well, we were in it when we started D-Miner's questions. But anyway, Scadroll asks, how did my fascination with tortoises come about? Which is a great question. When I was a kid, my dad was a comic book guy, and so I always had been exposed to the Ninja Turtles. I was born about the same time as the Ninja Turtles were really starting to come around, and so that was kind of a cool thing. I kind of got to grow up with it as it started, and I always just loved the Ninja Turtles so much. Some of my first words were like "cowabunga, dude," no joke, that happened, and so I always loved the Ninja Turtles, and so I always kind of had a fascination with turtles and things like that. It also ended up being that both my dad and I are allergic to dogs and other furry animals, and I love dogs, and we're actually going to talk about that in a minute, but we couldn't have furry pets in my house when I was growing up. In fact, let's get out of here. Let's go to spawn or wander around somewhere more interesting. So I always grew up, fascinated with the turtles. When I finally was old enough to like get a real pet, we had like hermit crabs and goldfish and stuff, but we never really had a pet other than that. We moved a lot, so I think a lot of that was probably just necessity. Also, there was my parents had 3 little boys around, pretty similar in age, so I don't think they also needed a pet to take care of. And kids are horrible with pets, so yeah, get them something easy like a goldfish or a hermit crab or something. But my first pet was a box turtle named Michelangelo. Of course, he was I forget what he was. I think he was a Chinese box turtle. They had like a yellow stripe behind the eye. And I feel bad. And I hit my mic there. I apologize for that. I feel bad that I don't remember exactly what he was. But Michelangelo, we called him Mikey. He had a yellow stripe behind his eye, which is why he was named Michelangelo. And he was my first real pet. And I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And the people who sold him to us, we bought him from somewhere like a pet. I don't think it was a pet store. I think it was a breed or something, or a shop nearby where we lived. They shouldn't have sold him to us because he was in the middle of like his hibernation cycle, and so he was really out of sorts. And he was a carnivorous, omnivorous, I guess it would be a turtle. But so we bought him like these little pinky rats or whatever, like to feed him, like and all this other stuff. It was not a great experience, and we bought him in the middle of his hibernation cycle, and so like in the end I think he just got so stressed out because we didn't really know what we were doing well enough to... What is going on there? Not really sure. So strange. Maybe Team Rocket's coming to the server here. That would be disappointing. We'll have to keep an eye out for any hooligans wandering about. But yeah, so first pet was Michelangelo the box turtle, and he didn't last very long, unfortunately. We buried him in our backyard, and it was very, very sad. I was always kind of a sensitive kid. I cried when my parents, when we traded in our old minivan for a new one, because I loved our old minivan. Like I was kind of a sensitive kid, but it was hard on me when that happened. And so when he died, we decided to, I love turtles, and so my parents looked into other options. They decided on getting me a tortoise, because tortoises are a lot lower maintenance even than turtles. Like they don't need, aquatic sections. They just eat vegetables. There's no like live feeding or anything like that. They're pretty much the tanks of the animal world. They're really hard to screw up. And so we got this turtle, or tortoise, rather, and this was for my 7th birthday, and so he's old this year. I think he's like 19 years old now. But Franklin, he was a sulcutta African spur-thighed tortoise. And I love that little guy. He is not with us anymore. He's not dead, but when we moved, we were living in Florida at the time, which he was an African tortoise, so he was a desert tortoise. The heat and everything of Florida was great for him. But then my family moved up to the Midwest area of the Americas, and so we moved to the Midwest, and it's much colder up there, and so there really wasn't a way that we could really keep him, very well, and so we had to make the hard decision. Some friends of ours happened to run a tortoise rescue down there in Florida, because a lot of people would, especially after like the Ninja Turtles movie came out in the 90s and things like that, a lot of people bought turtles and tortoises and things like that. And then they would get them, and what people don't realize is, like, tortoises, especially if you get like the sulcutta, which is what this rescue was, you get one of those guys, they get big. Franklin, I mean, he weighs probably close to 70 pounds now, I would think, with the way he grows. So, like, they're big tortoises, and they live for a very long time. Franklin will very likely outlive me. He will live probably to 80 to 100 years. So I mean, he's still a youngster by tortoise standards. So they last a really long time. They get really big. Other than that, though, they're pretty low maintenance. So people would get them when they're tiny, because they come out out of the egg like the size of a ping pong ball or whatever. So they're small, but then they grow real quick. So people would get them all the time, and then they would lose them. And so when we moved up to Indiana, we had to leave him behind with some of our friends, and I'd love to get down. Went down to visit him once since then, a couple of years later, but it's been a long time. I need to get down to see him. Right now, we've got my other tortoise, and I've shown you guys pictures of her before, probably on Twitter and stuff, so you haven't followed me there, you haven't seen her, but she's my little lady now. She is a species of tortoise that doesn't grow nearly as big as Franklin did, so I got her because I could keep her inside in a terrarium and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'll probably put pictures of theirs. But I've always loved tortoises. When I've been online, I've always kind of, my persona's always been that of like a tortoise. Because, people online give a lot of personal information out. And I don't really have any interest in doing that. Because it's really dangerous to do that. And I think people would all be better off coming up with some sort of persona. As long as it's a pleasant persona, because a lot of people hide behind the anonymity of the internet and just be trolls, but I don't think that's necessary. So that's kind of where my fascination with tortoises came from. Started with the Ninja Turtles, and kind of worked its way from there as I got pets. And one of my favorite books as a kid was Franklin the Tortoise, which is what I named my tortoise after. Actually, I think he was a turtle, maybe, but anyway, tortoises are a lot easier to maintain. So to this day, I still have tortoises, and they're awesome. So thank you for that question. I went on way too long with that. Holy crap. Was that like a 10-minute question? This is going to be a long episode, so I hope you guys will stick in there. I apologize that it's going to be too long. You can play it on speed up. YouTube gives you the option to do 2 times speed, up to 2 times speed. So maybe that'll be an option if you're short on time. But I'm gonna speed through some of these. So thank you guys so much for your questions. Skull asked, do I play an instrument? And if not, what instrument would I like to play? I do play an instrument. I played brass instruments, largely trumpet and bugle when I was in school. I was in the band in middle school, and then in marching band for part of my high school career. So yeah, played the trumpet. In marching band, I did play baritone for a little bit. Marching baritone, I think it's a euphonium or something actually, technically. But marching baritone, I did play, and so yeah, I did play that. I did for the longest time. I really wanted to play guitar. I'd love to actually learn to play the guitar. I took some. Ooh, I've got mail. I feel like you already filled out this order, Max. What you doing there, buddy? Yeah, you definitely filled this order already. If you want your stuff back, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, thank you for the gift. I don't need that single piece of gravel. Mail time. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, instrument. Yeah, so I played the trumpet and other brass instruments. I tried a couple times when I was a kid to pick up the guitar, but I wasn't the most coordinated of kids, and I was kind of a small kid, so it was hard for me to like reach around the neck of the guitar and like make fingerings and things like that. It was just difficult for me to like physically play the guitar, so I never really got as far into that as I would like. And so if I were to pick something, I would probably say guitar, or nowadays I might even say like the banjo. I love kind of folksy music a lot of times, bluegrass, things like that. So banjo or the fiddle. I've always wanted to play the fiddle. If I could just like wake up one day and have like mad fiddle skills, that would be amazing. But yeah, so thank you, Skull, for that great question. From Recount the Chameleon, do you have another job? I don't have another job, but I do have a job. This is not my job. This is a hobby that I probably put way too much time into. I make maybe like $4 to $5 a month if it's a good month from doing YouTube. So I would not consider it a job. I would consider it a hobby with very limited returns. But I do have a job. I went to school for web/graphic design, and unfortunately I don't get to do much web/graphic design in my current job. I've kind of moved into a management position at my work. I quickly moved up the ranks there because Tortimer is amazing. No, I was in the right place at the right time, and so I got a promotion, and so I do more managerial stuff right now, which is partially why I do YouTube, because honestly my job is super boring and I really don't enjoy being there, because I'm a creative person. I didn't really want to do. I do a boring managerial job at a boring engineering company, and it's a great job and it's a great company, but it's just not for me. I had the scores. I could have been an engineer if I wanted to, and I decided against it. And so doing engineering type stuff is I don't know. It's just not super fulfilling for me. And so I do this kind of as a way to do some creative stuff to keep myself from going crazy. I love making thumbnails and channel art and playing video games and things like that. So this is kind of my creative outlet. But yeah, so this is not my job. I get no monetary payment really from doing this. But thank you for the question so much there, Recount. And lost my space. Can I do a setup/room tour video? That might be something that at some point I will consider. As of right now, we moved a couple of months ago, my wife and I, and I'm still not all set up. We had lots of other projects to do at the house, and me setting up my geeky computer setup with all my little figurines and stuff was not really a priority. I really just like a week ago finally got my second monitor set up. Like it took me forever to get around to doing that. So at some point I may show you guys, at least post a picture of my setup, but so that's certainly possible, but not as of right now. From Abigail Schwab. I only even added this one because I thought it was hilarious. It threw me back to the 90s, but she asked ASL, which is something that kids used to ask like back in the day. Like you would get on AOL Instant Messenger when that was the hot thing, the way to keep in track. Nobody's even heard of AOL these days, I think, but AOL Instant Messenger used to be the hot thing before like texting and Facebook Messenger and things came about. It was the way you chatted with your friends without actually having to talk to them. It was the first way we really found a great way to never see our people face to face, or hear a voice or anything. So on AIM, they would if somebody like they would send you a message. AIM had like little chat rooms. You could go like, oh, you're interested in sports, go in here or whatever. It ended up being full of just lots of creepy people. But if you went in one of those, the first thing, or talked to somebody new, the first thing anybody would ask you on the internet, whether it was AIM or I paid Neopets or whatever back in the day, and people would ask you ASL, which meant age, sex, and location. So your age, I'm whatever age you were. A lot of times people lied about this stuff. Sex, are you male or female, and then your location. It's a great way for predators to kind of prey on children. It was awkward. And I haven't heard that in probably 10 years, so I thought that was funny. So thank you for a laugh, Abigail. Addie, how much wood would Woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And I actually have scientifically developed an answer to this, so thank you, Addie. A concrete answer was published by the Associated Press in 1988, which reported that a New York fish and wildlife technician named Richard Thomas had calculated the volume of dirt in a typical 25 to 30 foot long woodchuck burrow and had determined that if the woodchuck had removed an equivalent volume of wood, it could move about 700 pounds on a good day with the wind at his back. Another study, which considered chuck to be the opposite of upchucking, determined that a woodchuck could ingest 361.9237001 cubic centimeters of wood per day. So there you go. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck? Proven definitively by Wikipedia there. So thank you for that question. Addie also asked, do I wear a watch? And if so, is it analog or digital? Great question. I do not wear a watch anymore. I used to. For the longest time, I wore a watch. And really only stopped wearing a watch when I started working. Because I mainly worked in like kitchens and stuff when I was a kid. I would, not as like a child. I wasn't like a child laborer or anything, but like when I was younger and I was working just like part-time jobs and stuff when I was in school and things, I worked in kitchens. And so like in kitchens, you really can't wear a watch because you're constantly having to wash your hands or you're working with food or things like that. It's a hygienics thing. Like that. I think a lot of places just don't allow you to wear watches. And so that was, I wore one for the longest time. I think I had a dress watch that was analog. And I had a digital watch that I wore most of the time. It was like an old Timex or something. But yeah, so I definitely wore both. Nowadays, I just kind of use my phone. I got out of the habit, and now I've got a watch or a clock on my phone, so I just haven't really ever gotten back into wearing a watch. But thank you, Addie. How long have I been married? Also from Addie. About 2 years. My wife and I got married about 2 years ago. And so, been married about 2 years, and it's been fantastic. Addie asks, favorite toothpaste? I use Colgate Pro Health. It's kind of got a whitening and a like plaque fighter and cavity protection. It's got like everything in there. Like you can get all the different things. Oh, you can get a toothpaste with whitening, or you can get one with like tartar control, or this one just has everything. And I don't know how great it is. I recently just switched to it because they say you're supposed to like switch up your toothpaste. So whenever I finish a tube, I go buy something that's completely different. But that's what I'm using presently. Favorite drink? I'm going to be boring. Honestly, ice water. I love a cold, refreshing glass of ice water. I drink lots of things. I do drink alcoholic beverages occasionally because I'm an old man. I'm legally allowed to do so. I don't really drink a lot. Honestly, I think anybody who experiences one good hangover can probably explain why, a person would choose not to drink a lot. It's just, at a certain point, it's just not worth it. And so, holidays and family functions and social things, sure, I'll have a drink, but I don't drink, a lot, just at home or really ever. But really, honestly, my favorite thing is a nice glass of ice water. Favorite food, also from Addie, Swiss steak over egg noodles. It's the most amazing thing in the world. My mom makes the best Swiss steak over egg noodles, and I love it so much. And if I was on death row and I got one meal, that would be it. So thank you for that. I've got to scroll down now real quick, so give me 1 second. All right, we're past the halfway point, so I apologize so much. I'm going to whip through some of these. I went way too long on some of these explanations, so I apologize. All right, from Anasia, an amazing question. Thank you so much, Anasia, for this one. If you were to wake up in another country tomorrow, immediately know the native language, and stay there for a year with no responsibilities, where would you be? Amazing question. I would go to Italy. I am a third-generation Italian. My great-grandfather immigrated here from Italy, immigrated to America, and so I've never been. I would love to go. I took some Italian classes, language classes, and culture classes in college, and high school, I guess, a little bit. But I would love to. If I had no responsibilities and I was fluent, I would go just backpack and bum around Italy, and it would be amazing. There's so much culture there, and just old stuff to see, and beautiful countryside, and like you can get from beautiful mountains to beautiful country or coastal cities and islands. I mean, it's such a diverse landscape country. I would love to just bum around Italy for a year. That would be amazing. So Anasia, thank you for that. Great question. Can I breakdance from Zangief? No, I cannot. Thank you for a quick answer there. Are you going to show us your face? Are you ever going to show us your face from Pixel Propagation? No? No, yeah, here you go. No, yeah, okay, no. I'm not, like, ashamed to be on YouTube or anything, but I don't see any reason for me to cross those two lives together, at least in this point in time. You know, there's guys out there like Etho, who's like a huge YouTuber. He's never shown his face, things like that. I don't think it's necessary to this process. I think if I blended my life with YouTube too much, I think it would be, you know, a detriment to you guys. I think the old Tortimer persona is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy all the art I get to make for it. I think that would be, I think my face would probably be nothing short of just disappointing. I'm not ugly or anything necessarily, but it's just, I don't think it's something that's really, I'm planning on doing it. This is I don't know. I don't think so. I'm going to keep this in my life separate, at least for this point in time. Favorite TV show, also from Pixel Propagation. He had a couple here. Favorite TV show is very hard. I do love watching TV. It's just, there's lots of fun stuff out there. It's hard to find good stuff sometimes, but every once in a while you'll get a great show and it'll be worth following. You know, first and foremost, my favorite show of all time has got to be Firefly. I've watched that show probably a dozen or more times now because it was canceled way before its time. And just unfortunately, there was only one season of it, and so it's very easy to watch it through. You know, I can do that in a weekend sometimes if I'm working on something near my computer or whatever. So Firefly, definitely my absolute favorite show. I also really enjoyed some of Joss Whedon's other stuff. I really enjoyed Angel. It's much darker and kind of weird, but I enjoyed it. Just the characters were fun on that show. I tend to find for my entertainment, whether it's video games or TV or movies or books, I really look for, like, character development. Like, I want to be able to emotionally connect with these characters, and it may not be the best writing, it may not be the best story, but if I can, you know, suspend disbelief and, like, connect with these characters as people, then I enjoy that book. So, or movie or TV show or whatever. And so I really enjoyed Joss Whedon's shows because he does great character development. He's all about that and great story and things like that. So really enjoyed most of his shows. Really enjoy, one of my favorite shows is Star Trek The Next Generation. Really love that show. Again, just fun characters. People will argue, oh, well, DS9 is better, and shut up. I like Next Generation. So that's for one of my friends who probably doesn't watch these. But anyway, I also enjoyed like Psych and White Collar, some great shows over on USA, a really underrated channel. And then Lost was a great show. It kind of ended weird, but I think if you go back and watch Lost, like, it might have been hard to follow the first time through, but if you watch it again with, like, everything in mind, it all kind of makes a lot more sense, and I enjoyed Lost. I mean, some of it was like, what? But I try not to get, like, super analytical with things. I just try to enjoy something as entertainment. So, like, I was never like, that makes no sense. I mean, I would get confused and maybe had trouble following things, but it wouldn't ruin it for me. But if you watch it through a second time, things will make a lot more sense to you. Because there's a lot of foreshadowing and little Easter eggs that you wouldn't necessarily have noticed, but that are there, and so you pick up on them the second time. You're like, oh, wow, that was, you know, they were laying the groundwork the whole time. What kind of pets do you have? Also from Pixel Propagation. Right now, I just have one tortoise, Fluffy, for all intents and purposes. That's what we'll call her, Fluffy. Because in Minecraft, I got my little sheep, and I'm the tortoise, but now I'm the mammal in real life, and Fluffy is the tortoise. So Fluffy, I'll throw up another picture up here. She's my little lady, and she's the only pet I've got right now, but my wife and I do have a deposit down. Now that we've got a house with a big backyard, we've got a deposit down on a little puppy that we're going to be getting next spring. So really excited about that. I'm looking forward to bringing that little fluff monster into the house. I am allergic, so we're getting like a golden doodle, which may not be the most manly of dogs, but I love golden retrievers, but my allergies, it wouldn't make it the smartest bet. So we're getting a golden doodle, which should be closer to hypoallergenic. Shouldn't shed as much and not have as many allergies. So really excited about that. From Aaron Cerise, one of my longtime friends here on YouTube. What is your favorite type of movie and why? Or what are some of your favorite movies and why? I really, kind of along the lines, I love movies that have great character development and great story, and it's just entertaining. I can watch a quote-unquote bad movie and still enjoy it, because I'm not trying to be too analytical with things. I think if you get too analytical, and I know you're a film studies major, so you get really analytical, so I apologize. I'm not trying to bash that. But, like, even in high school, we would read these great, classic novels, but they would want us to dissect it, like, sentence by sentence. And, like, I started to hate reading, like, because it ruined the beauty of a novel to, like, have to sit there and dissect everything. And so I try not to do that a lot in my, like, enjoyment time. So I enjoy comedies and action adventures. Right now I'm a huge fan. They're not like Oscar winners or anything, but I love the Marvel movies. All the comic book stuff is a lot of fun. Just as a longtime nerd, it's nice to see that kind of cultural those aspects get embraced, and they're for the most part really entertaining movies. There's some that aren't very entertaining. Like I'm not a huge fan of like the Thor ones necessarily. I just don't think they're as well done. But I mean, they're still entertaining. They just may not be my favorite of those movie sets. I hit my mic again. I'm sorry. So love those. Comedies. I'm not really into like super just like raunchy comedies. Like it's just not my. I don't know. It's not my type of movie. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so the wall goes here, so I do need to take this out. It's just not my type of movie. If you guys enjoy that, like I don't watch Adam Sandler or a lot of that crap. I don't like raunchy comedies, but like comedies that are actually just like funny are great. And so a lot of times I find myself, like the Marvel movies, I guess those are a lot of times can be pretty comedic, while still having something else going on. I guess maybe I don't know if I can come up with like just a straight comedy that I've like really enjoyed off the top of my head. I'm sure there are some, but I'm blanking right now. But I love the Lord of the Rings and, so adventure, sci-fi, the Star Trek movie was great, and things like that. So and I know Star Trek movie is not a good example of sci-fi. I'm not saying that it is. That's just the first thing that popped in my mind. It's like a sci-fi comedy. Galaxy Quest was a great movie. If it's entertaining, I don't care if it wasn't the greatest movie ever. As long as it's entertaining, I'll enjoy it. So thank you, Aaron. I hope that was sufficient enough. If not, you can ping me and we could talk movies. Favorite movies in one, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're into the YouTube category, which was the last one. All right, so from Cody Plays, what is your favorite part about YouTube? Which is a great question. So honestly, my favorite part about YouTube is interacting with my whippersnappers here, my viewers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And really, I don't know that I can say anything else there. That's far and away my favorite part about YouTube, because it's a hobby that requires a lot of work. And so interacting with my viewers, interacting with other people like on the Decimon or Farside server, making some friends, that's a lot of fun. And I really enjoy it. So yeah, thank you for that question. It's a lot of work. It is, and sometimes it's frustrating when you don't get as many views and things like that, but it's a lot of fun to hang out with these people. So the people are what make anything good. Relationships is really what World's about, and so making these friends is really the best part about this. How did you come up with your name? How did I come up with Tortimer the Gray? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is again another one from Recow Chameleon, and honestly, the best answer I can give you is brainstorming. I decided I was gonna do YouTube, and I knew I wanted to kind of differentiate it from my own personal identity, so I knew I was going to have to come up with some sort of character. And like Generic B had his hermit, and all these different things, Vintage Beef, and really, so I decided, I got to come up with some sort of character. And I said, ever since I've been online, like, from the beginning of my time on the internet, which has spanned quite a long time now, I played Neopets as a kid or whatever, and so I had, accounts there, and honestly, actually, I'll throw it up on the screen here. This is one of the first iterations of, I guess, the Tortimer character. Even back in the day, I was like in middle school, for Neopets. And like I was using that character persona as my online identity. So I was, that was kind of the first iteration of Tortimer, and it looks pretty similar for the most part, really. And so I've always just kind of been an older guy at heart. Like even when I was a toddler, like I always kind of had an old soul. My parents said, and I was always just kind of more mature than the people around me. And I don't mean that as like a slam or like, oh, look how good I am. It's just true. I never really was like a super immature. Like I always was a pretty thoughtful kid, and enjoyed the company of adults a lot of times more than little kids. But. So I've always just kind of been that old soul, and a lot of my inventory's getting full. A lot of the people in a gaming community like this are younger, or people who watch these videos. And there's lots of 12-year-olds who have YouTube channels, and so I felt really old when I first got into this, and until I really got connected with like Farside and especially Decimon. Decimon's population is much more similar to like mine. There's lots of not like kids, but there's some younger guys in Farside, more like high school age and things like that sometimes it's hard to relate to. But Decimon, there's lots of people on here who are married and have kids and things like that, and so I feel more at home at this place. But before that, I was like, oh, YouTube's made up of lots of 12-year-olds doing this, and so I felt like an old guy, and so I was thinking like Old Man Koopa was the first iteration of what I wanted to do, but I wanted something like iconic. And so I ended up with like, Gray is kind of an age thing. And so you have Gandalf the Gray, which is kind of where my name came from originally, like, Tortimer the Gray. But it's like Tortimer, the old gray, guy. And so I just kind of brainstorming. I tried a lot of different iterations. I did some sketching and designing of the character, and then just kind of landed on Tortimer the Gray. And, when I landed on it, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Let's go with that. And so that's what I did. And yeah, so great question. Honestly, brainstorming. I just wanted to come up with something that would be unique, that might catch people's attention, and that kind of explained the character that I was looking to create. And I think I really enjoy where I've... Oh! My egg hatched into a Meowth. No, not a Meowth! Darn it. Okay. I don't know how to do breeding, apparently. I think maybe the female is what determines the... Yeah, the female must be what determines the gender, or the species. I've got a female Apom now, so I'll have to get a male Meowth. All right, so that's how I came up with Tortimer the Gray. I think I answered that one pretty sufficiently. Brainstorming. I had a character in mind and just needed to come up with a name that fit. So thank you so much for that. Why did you start your YouTube channel? This was from both Recow the Chameleon and Serious Does Things. They both asked pretty similar question there. Why did I start my YouTube channel? This is going to be embarrassing. But honestly, why I started my YouTube channel was to become famous? No. Well, in a part. I wasn't doing it to like make money. I didn't really care about that. I'd been watching a lot of Minecraft. Really, when I started this, I was looking to do Minecraft stuff. But then I couldn't figure out how to get Minecraft recorded properly, and so I put out a Pokemon thing first. And Pokemon I was planning on being like my side thing. I've always loved Pokemon, but I wasn't planning on it being like my mainstay, that's what I do is Pokemon stuff. But I wanted to do Minecraft stuff because my goal, and again, this is embarrassing, but my goal was to get big enough that I could get the attention of the Minecraft guys and I could be like friends with them, because I'd watched like Beef and Etho and Generic B and B00, and I love those guys' videos. They're just cool guys. They're guys who are kind of my age and maybe a little older in some instances, but they're older guys who do this, and they have a lot of fun, and they're just cool guys. You get to know some of these guys through their videos. They talk about themselves and things like that, and so you get to know them. And I really wanted to be friends with those guys, and so I decided, I'm going to get into YouTube. I'm going to get big, and then they'll ask me to join the Minecraft server, which will never happen. I mean, there was a total just like no chance of that ever happening. But that was honestly the precipice of me starting YouTube. And I wanted to play games, and I've been playing video games for a long time, and I thought it would be fun to put them out there. And but honestly, I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want to make $1 million. I just wanted to get big enough that I could hang out with the Minecraft guys. So yeah, that's why I joined YouTube. But it's been a lot of fun. Made a lot of other great friends, and I may never meet or get to know the Minecraft guys at all. But without that, I still have met a lot of cool people, and I think it's been a fun ride for sure. So thank you guys for that question. That's embarrassing, but unfortunately that's the truth. getting really long here, almost at an hour. Oof, man. Just a couple more. What would you do if people just stopped watching your videos? This is another one from Recow the Chameleon. Honestly, I'd probably just quit. Like, I'm not, like, this is a great hobby and I met a lot of great people, but, you know, a lot of the people in my communities don't make YouTube videos anymore, or never did. So, like, it's not even a requirement to be part of these communities, and, you know, I could still tweet and hang out with you guys, but if everyone stopped watching my videos, if I woke up one day and I put out stuff for weeks and, like, no views, I got, like, 5 views total or something, you know, I'd probably just stop, because, like, I don't get any money out of this. I don't, you know, it's a hobby that takes a lot of time, probably more time than I really should be committing to something like this. And so honestly, I would probably just, you know, okay, I had a fun run, but it's over. Ooh, and this, that'll be birch when I get more. So yeah, probably just call it a day. It would be a fun ride, and I've enjoyed it while it lasted, but, you know, if I'm not getting any views, then I'm not even getting the, you know, $5 a month that I might potentially be getting right now from YouTube. So, it just wouldn't be worth it then. I mean, I can play games without people watching them. Or if nobody's watching them anyway, then I can play games without putting in all the time editing and thinking about it in frames of episode. I could just, like, build something and have fun doing it, or play a Pokemon game and have fun doing it without having to, like, all the stress of editing and everything else. So, yeah, definitely would probably just quit, which would be fine, because nobody would care, because nobody would be watching the stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, good question. I don't know that that'll happen, but I don't have any delusions that, like, I'm going to be a million subscriber person one day. I think somebody even, it might have been Scad, said in the in the Q&A when they were posting their question, like, oh man, congratulations on 500, you'll be getting your million subscribers plaque any day now. And it's like, that's a very nice sentiment, but it's never going to happen. Those people who get to 1 million subscribers are very lucky to do so. Those are people who, you know, yeah, I mean, it takes time. You know, people who have 1 million subscribers, like Etho or Beef or whatever, they've been doing this for 5-6 years now or something like that, maybe. But really, you kind of, YouTube's very much a luck thing, and I think that feeds into maybe the next question. No, we'll get to it. Okay, so what series do you enjoy doing the most? Probably right now, this is from Sugar Puffs. Probably right now, my favorite series to do is probably Decimon. It's a nice blend of Pokemon and Minecraft, which are two of my favorite games to play at the moment, and because they're both pretty casual games. Well, Pokemon's more casual because I know everything about it for the most part, so I can just get in there and play without having to, like, figure things out. And Minecraft, you can just, you know, it's a sandbox, you do whatever you want. But yeah, probably Pixelmon at the moment. I enjoy the Hexath'locke, but the Hexath'locke is unfortunately one of those games, a series where, like, if I'm not recording an episode, I really don't get to play it, because it's pretty linear, so there's not, like, a lot of stuff I can do besides just, like, straight grinding off camera. And so probably I would say that's not my favorite at the moment. I do enjoy the Hexath'locke a lot, but in terms of playing, I enjoy this game. Decimon or Pixelmon is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. So probably right now this is my favorite series. But I enjoy all my series. If I'm not enjoying something, I'm probably not going to continue doing it. So yeah, definitely probably Decimon at the moment. But I enjoy all my stuff. So thank you, Sugar. Another question from Sugar Puffs. What keeps you doing YouTube all this time? Probably, again, just interacting with people. It's a nice creative outlet for me, but honestly, it's, you know, my favorite things about YouTube is why I do YouTube. Hanging out with people, reading comments, and things like that. So thank you guys for being good about doing comments and stuff, because it, you know, comments and likes are nice. It's because it shows you guys are interacting and care and things like that. And so yeah, I really enjoy that portion of it, and that's really what keeps me coming back. If one day I came and nobody was commenting or viewing or anything like that, it would be hard to motivate myself to continue spending my time on a hobby like this. So yeah, definitely probably that. Thank you, Sugar. Also from Sugar Puffs, if you could start again, what would you do differently? Which is a really good question. I had to think about it, and honestly, I don't know. Get really lucky, I guess, would be what because honestly, YouTube is a game of luck, and What are your plans with your channel? Okay, so I'm gonna fold this into Nefarious Does Things question. What are your, or no, Pixel Propagations question. It's my last one on the list, so I'm gonna fold it in with that. Any tips / trick for upcoming YouTubers? So I'm gonna fold this in with Sugar's question of what would I change if I could start over. Honestly, the only thing I would say is start networking with people earlier on. Like, it took me almost a year. Like, I did, I had friends, but really not a ton. Like, I had the Espresso Cat and Aaron Cerise are two of my oldest friends and subs here on YouTube. You know, I connected with them, but we mainly just watched each other's videos and commented, which is great. It's great to have friends who, like, support you by watching your videos, giving you feedback and things like that. But, like, the only way you're going to grow is by joining some sort of community or something like that. Like, it's just, you know, you're not going to get anywhere on YouTube going at it alone. I was the lone wolf for a long time, and it's not. Which shovel is? Oh, this is just the unbreaking one. I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. You know, going at it alone. One, it's not as fun. It's way more fun to have friends around and for them to do it with you. You know, you got to get connected with people to get the word out, because, like, you know, people who get big, you know, they have, you know, people supporting them. You know, whether it's a community, they get attached to people who are bigger and things like that. You know, I think, like, you know, Just Vaughn, he's a YouTuber I love to watch. He's a good guy, and he's got entertaining commentary. Oh no, it's just lag while I'm not picking these up. He's got entertaining commentary, but the reason he's where he's is because he got attached. He was friends with, like, Vintage Beef or something, and he got pulled into a server with some of the Minecrackers, and he jumped, like, you know, 10,000 subscribers in a matter of months. And so, like, that's something where, like, YouTube is largely, you know, tips and tricks. I don't have any tips and tricks because there are no tips and tricks besides, you know, network with people. And I don't mean, like, join a network, because most of the networks are a scam, and they don't do anything for you. I enjoy my network, but there's lots of networks that I get emails. Even me, a small little guy, I get emails all the time. Oh, we'd love for you to join our network, and they're all just they take a portion of your money and they give you nothing back. And so if you're, you know, I don't make any money, so, you know, oh, they get 20 cents of my $5. Like, it's not like a big deal to me, but, like, it's just not worth getting into a relationship like that, because a lot of those guys do nothing for you, and they just take a portion of your earnings. They don't help promote you. They don't do anything but just take some of your money. So, you know, you got to be careful with networks, but networking with people, you know, I'm on the Decimon server, I'm on the Farside server, and, you know, I honestly, I only even got connected with, you know, people. I was watching a Generic B video, and he was talking, some people asked him this question, and this was kind of the tip he gave. He's like, you know, you got to connect with people. And I really took that to heart. It's like, yeah, I really need to, because I wasn't really going anywhere with my channel. I think at the time that I joined up with Farside, I had like a little over 100 subs, maybe like 150. And, you know, so I've grown a lot since then. And I don't know that it was strictly because I joined Farside. I would say not, because I had been growing, you know, steadily. You know, I joined Farside at the beginning of, well, I guess, yikes, when did I join Farside? Because I started doing YouTube in 2013, so I guess I started doing YouTube April 2013, so I guess, yeah, it was January of this year? Has it been less than a year? But, like, so I've gone up a lot since that point, but I don't know that it's, like, because I joined that group. I mean, because I've been growing steadily, but, you know, that certainly helped. It helped, you know, my videos be more entertaining because I had people in them. I had reason to do more entertaining things because, you know, there's some things like prank wars or death games or things like that that you can't do on a you know, world by yourself. And there's lots of builds that don't make sense and things like that. So all in all, it just helps. And I'm sure joining that helped grow my channel. But you gotta have friends, and you gotta try and connect with people close to your range. You know, there's people on Farside who have, I think the biggest person on Farside, at least active, has, like, well, not even active, but that, like, has been in Farside for a while. We added a girl, Lexi Gaming or something, but I don't I don't think she's ever done anything. But anyway, I think I think Zangief has like 1,200 or Kaniba might have like 1,500 or something. Like, I don't know, but they're all relatively within grasp of me. I wasn't pinging generic B or something who's got hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers and being like, hey Etho, do you want to collab? No. you gotta start small. Find people who are kind of similar to you, who would be interested in doing some of the same stuff you're doing. Find people who've got similar mindsets. If there are people who are like, I'm going to put out a video every month. Well, if you want to put out a video every week, try and find people who have got similar ideas on how they want to do their channel. And then they can help you grow and support you and things like that. But other than that, it's getting lucky, getting right place, right time, getting on with a game that's really big at that moment, and you happen to get found by somebody, and things like that. It's a lot of it is the right place, right time. So if I could start again, what would I do differently? Network with people earlier, just because it's more fun with friends, and you grow faster as part of a community. So yeah, that would be what I would say in response to that. And then tips and tricks. Be patient, because you're not going to get famous overnight, probably. The statistics just don't really support that really happening. The people who did, really get big overnight are people who, they get a shout out by somebody who's already big, or they started with this YouTube thing really early, so there was much less saturation in the market. You got to just do it for you. You got to have fun. If you're not enjoying something, stop doing it. Because you're not going to make $1 million from this. It's an unreasonable expectation. If it happens, if you get found out and you make tons of money, that's fantastic. Congratulations. But chances are that's not going to happen. So that shouldn't be your only driving goal when you join YouTube. That would be the big tips I would give. It's just have fun with it. If you're not enjoying a series, stop doing it. Seriously, just stop it. Because your viewers won't enjoy it, you won't enjoy it, and it'll just make YouTube a job, which at the very best, it's a hobby. You're not going to make millions. You're not going to be able to support yourself on it without some act of God intervening. It's just not going to happen. So just have fun with it for what it is, and don't get too serious about it. I try to run a professional channel, but I don't have any delusions that I'm going to one day be able to quit my job and do this. Because at this rate, I calculated it, actually. SCAD said, oh, you'll be getting your million subscriber plaque any day now. And I went and did the math. At the current rate of growth, and I know it's more exponential than linear typically, but still, at my current rate of growth, it's taken me a year and a half or more, 1.8 years or something like that to get to, I don't remember what it was exactly, but as long as it took me to get to 500, to get to 1 million subscribers, I think it would take me I think that, and I may be bad at math, but I think it said 3,000 plus years. So I don't have any delusions that I'm going to get to a point where this will be my job. I just don't, because it's not going to happen. But if it did, that'd be great. But until then, I'm just along for the ride. And if life steers me in another direction, I'll have to quit. And if life gets busy, life is more important. So I would say, do YouTube as a fun hobby, enjoy it. Life is more important. And yeah. So yeah. What made you come up with the old man personality? I kind of touched on this with the tortoise thing, or the name. But I've always just felt older than all my peers. And then there's lots of younger people who are doing this, and so I was like, we'll do the old man personality, kind of like generic B's got his grandpappy, Jenny, and the old hermit guy, and I loved that. And I've always even when I was in middle school, I had I'll throw it back up on the screen. This is the first rendition of Tortimer. I've always kind of been an old man at heart and represented myself by an old tortoise in online, and so it was kind of just a smooth transition. I say a lot, I've been playing video games longer than you've been alive, so I feel older in that respect, at least until I got connected with these networks again. I was thinking, a lot of these kids are 8-year-old or 12-year-old kids who, you know, are using Bandicam, the free screen capture, and are making videos on YouTube. So I felt older than a lot of the people there, and so that's what made me come up with that old man personality. And I've got to thank one of my friends on the Nuzlocke forums, and unfortunately I can't remember his name right now because I have not been on the Nuzlocke forums in a long time, unfortunately. But he gave me the whippersnappers thing. He was like, you really need to play up, when I first started putting out videos, he's like, you really should be playing up this old man thing. And so, you know, he's the one who recommended the whippersnappers thing and things like that. And so I owe that to him. And I've just been having fun with it. It's fun. So thank you guys for that question. What are your plans with your channel in the future? Last two here, so hang in there. What are your plans with your channel in the future? Definitely my plan at the moment, because I'm not going to make it big. I don't know if I'm going to do YouTube indefinitely. I'll put that out there. I don't know if it'll happen. But my plan presently is to stick it out at least as long as the Hexath'locke, until the Hexath'locke is done. Because that's a long-running series. I feel like I kind of owe it to you guys to finish up that series at the very least. And if, you know, if things change and people, you know, I really get a lot of subs and people are really interested and things like that, you know, fantastic. We'll keep going. I'm not saying like when the Hexath'locke's done, I'm done necessarily, but I'm sticking around at least that long, I think. And so that's kind of my only plan at the moment. I'm going to continue to play games. I may, you know, if life gets crazy busy, I may ratchet back some of my series. But like, for the most part, I'm going to play games I love. I'm going to hang out with you whippersnappers who I love. Play games that are fun, that you guys will enjoy. Give you guys some pearls of wisdom, and just, you know, try to enjoy myself. That's my plans for the channel. It's not going to get big. If someday I'm, you know, on the Minecraft server and I'm, you know, million subs, making a couple $1,000s a month from this thing, I'll eat those words. But at this point, I don't see that happening, and so I just take it for what it is. Not really looking to disappoint myself by giving myself unreasonable expectations. So yeah, that's my plans for the channel at this point. Just kind of enjoying it, really. I'm going to do some more fun games. Like I said, I really love the Jak and Daxter series. I do have a PS3, and I've got the remastered version of it on, so I think you know, throw a couple of dollars at it and I can get some some way to record from my PS3, and I may do a series of that because it's one of my favorite games. And I'd love to, you know, the mission of statement of my channel was always to expose you, the viewers, to past and present video game classics. So kind of we're getting past and present with Minecraft and Pokemon a bit, but I'd love to do some more throwback stuff, expose you guys to some amazing games that you may not have heard of. And so we may certainly be doing that. But yeah, so that's kind of my plan, I guess. Nothing super crazy, but that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And if you guys have suggestions, honestly, this is a Q&A. So if you guys have suggestions for things you would like to see, let me know. Yeah, I'm always open to suggestions from you guys. You guys know that. And so, let's see, I think this... Does this give me 2 or 1? Just 1. So you guys know I'm always open to feedback and suggestions. If you guys got things you'd like to see from me, I'm here... Ooh, actually, I need way more than that, don't I? I'm here to entertain you. So if there's things you guys want to see, I may or may not do it because I may or may not have any interest in that. And again, I do things I'm interested in, and you guys get to come along for the ride. But if it's something that would interest me and it's something that would interest you, perfect mix, and I'll look into that. But yeah, so make sure to leave those suggestions down there for me. That's a big boss, big boss Sandshrew there, Sandslash. Let's ooh, I don't have camera or Torterra with me. This could be bad. But let's try this out. So yeah, that's my plan. Gonna stick through the Hexath'locke at least, and just kind of see where things go from there. Yeah. So thank you for that question. And we'll see. We'll see. If I make it big, great. Maybe I'll get to do that. But I'm already doing something every day. I'm trying to run a professional channel where I like apricot berry, another orb, silk scarf, experience share. Experience share is useful at least. I think I already have one, but that's okay. So yeah. I mean, things may change, but I'm already trying to run a professional channel. I've got, you know, thumbnails and playlists. I mean, there's people who Etho is one example I'll use. He is a guy who has 1.5 million subscribers or something crazy, and he still, to this day, does not do thumbnails. Like, he's a great guy, I enjoy watching his videos, but like, from an outsider's perspective, he doesn't run the most professional of channels. I think that, thumbnails are kind of a thing that kind of set things apart, and I don't know. Obviously, he's doing something right, and I shouldn't, like, comment on that, but that's just one thing, like, I'll point out, like, you can be super professional, you can have a really successful channel without doing that professional stuff, but that's what I want. I wanted to run a professional channel. I organize everything into playlists, and I do, thumbnails and all that. So, I'm already kind of doing that, so I'm running it as if it was a professional thing, even though I make no money from it, and I have no expectation of ever making any money from it. But, yeah. So, there we go. And then last question. What made you start doing Sagely Wisdom stuff at the beginning of your episodes? That's something that I added when I kind of did my channel revamp. Because I did... so I had Hexath'locke Season 1 was my first series. And for the longest time, that was my only series. But eventually, I started, wanting to do some other things. Well, I'd always wanted to do other things. Let me not confuse that. I've always wanted to do it. I had always wanted to do other things with my channel, but I didn't have like the ability. I had difficulty getting because I was using all free stuff at the beginning and was having difficulty getting some of that figured out. Like Hexath'locke Season 1, I had to record in 5-minute segments and then splice together because the free recorder wouldn't like hold more than like half a gig or something, and like it was making huge files, and so like I would record a 15-minute episode or 20-minute episode or whatever, and then it would like not save it and it would just be gone. Like there was no option or anything, like it was just gone. And so like the first episode of the Hexath'locke, my first episode on my channel, I had to I tried to record that like 30 times, like not even exaggerating, 30 times. And so like I ended up doing it. This has nothing to do with the question. I ended up doing a revamp of my channel when Hexath'locke finished. I took a bit of a break. I think it was over the summer or something like that. I took a bit of a break, and then I came back and I started off a Cube World series and then Hexath'locke Season 2 because everyone was doing Minecraft. At that point, I couldn't get Minecraft working with the recorder I was using. And then everyone was doing it, and Cube World was just coming out. I was like, well, this is kind of Minecraft-esque. I'll do Cube World. But nobody watched that series at all. So after a couple of episodes, I axed that one. It's still out there if you guys want to watch it, I guess. But yeah, so why did I start Sagely Wisdom? So I added that as something I did when I did my revamp. I added my current intro, because before that I just had like a static, opening page or whatever that would stay there. So I added the intro with like the dissolving Tortimer and him playing a game and things like that. The intro you see currently, I added that when I came back with Hexath'locke Season 2, and then I added the Sagely Wisdom at the same point because lots of people spend lots of time on here, and I kind of going back to if you could change anything in this world, what would it be? Since I'm kind of an older guy, I've got a lot of life experience, and not even that. I'm only 25, almost 26, so I'm not that old, but I've always been kind of an old guy at heart. And so I felt like, there was things I could potentially like pass on, and I always wanted to do that. And like one of my favorite books is Watership Down. And so like at the beginning of every chapter, he has, Richard Adams has like a little blurb from like another book. And it's a little quote thing that at the beginning of every chapter that kind of relates to what is happening in the chapter that's coming up. So like it'll be a quote from Hamlet or something in there that kind of has a similar theme or whatever, and kind of just illuminates that. And so I wanted to do something similar. So like on typical channel or episodes, if there's a death or something in that episode, or if we're doing something with farming or whatever, I'll have a quote. A lot of these days I'm using mostly verses from the Bible that I think are applicable because. Again, I've got that Christian background, and I think that a lot of people get a lot of bad ideas about a lot of religions in general, and especially here in America, everybody loves to hate on Christianity. So it's I wanted to put out some of those good messages and stuff from there, things that I think people could take in, and so it's kind of a ministry in that point too, I guess. I don't know that, I do it well enough that I could, that anybody's really like actually thought about anything. They're only up there for a couple seconds. I don't know that anybody even reads them. But, I wanted to put that there. Some little words of wisdom. I wasn't always doing just Bible verses, and I still don't do just Bible verses necessarily. But I'd been putting a lot of, I would just look for random quotes, and that, eventually I was doing just random quotes, and a lot of them were great. But then I would look into like some of the people I'd done quotes from, and I wasn't really like, because I was just like Googling, like farming quotes or something, and like I would pick something that I thought was interesting from that. But then I when I looked into a couple of the people that I'd actually like, I was seeing a lot of their stuff, and some of their quotes were okay, but when I looked into like them and as like a person, I didn't really agree with like what they did and things of that nature. So I decided it would be safer to do things from source material that I tend to agree with, and so I decided pulling from there, and I figured if I want to claim this as I'm trying to do some good here, I figured that's the best good I could do. So I put that there just to make people think a little bit. It gives a little opener to the episode. Usually they're pretty relevant. At least I try. So it may give you some insight into what's coming in the episode, and it may just give you guys some thought, because so much of like the internet is just mindless, like drooling stuff, and I wanted this to be something different. And I don't know that really adds a lot. I guess I'd love for you guys to let me know, do you guys get anything out of those sagely wisdom things? But it's something I wanted to do, especially with the old man persona. I figured out, I'll impart my years of wisdom to you young whippersnappers and all that. So that was essentially the thought behind it. So, yeah. Anyway, that was everything. Holy crap, an hour and a half long. If you guys made it to the end, thank you guys so much. Again, 100 or 500. One second. Let's jump back over to our little arena here. Here we are. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and being amazing. All the comments and likes and stuff are great. I love getting to know you guys, because, whether you guys like it or not, you guys are some of my friends here, and I like the more of the, friend relationship than just being like a solitary, lone, entertainer sort of guy. So I love interacting with you guys. It's been great. I hope to continue doing this for a while. We're going to be shooting for 1,000, might be too far off, but my main goal at this point, I want to get to, so people ask, what is your goals for the future of the channel, I guess. I'm going to stick around to the end of the Hexath'locke, and I'd love to get to quadruple digits. I don't expect I'll ever get out of quadruple digits, even if I ever get there. I don't know if I'll ever get to quadruple digits, but I'd love to get there just to be like, yeah, all right. And I know people who have done it, so it can't be that hard if they did it. I mean, come on. No, but yeah. So thank you guys so much for all the great questions. I apologize it took so long. Oh my gosh, I just got rambling on some of this stuff. But I hope you guys are still here. Maybe you took my suggestion and watched it a little bit faster speed. Maybe that helped. But yeah, again, you guys are my whippersnappers, my good friends and subscribers here. Thank you guys so much for making this a possibility. 500 subscribers, man. I remember getting super ecstatic when I hit 100 subscribers. And obviously that wasn't that long ago. I'm only at 500 now, but this is huge for me. It may not be huge in terms of YouTube in general, but to get to this point is awesome. 500 of you guys out there at one point or another actually cared about what I was doing, which is awesome. And I don't think I've got 500 viewers anymore, because my views honestly haven't changed that much over time. But at one point or another, 500 people out there actually cared enough to hit the subscribe button. So that's very cool. I hope to continue to grow and to see my views and likes and things continue to grow, because those have kind of stalled out, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll let you guys go back to your daily lives, but seriously, this is all because of you, and I appreciate it so much. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be on the Decimon server. I wouldn't be, a TGN partner. I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be still doing this if you guys weren't around to make it worthwhile for me. So really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much. Let me know what you guys would like to see from the future of this channel, because really, this channel is all about you guys. I'm just here to facilitate entertainment for you guys, and if I get to have fun while doing it, that's even better. But really, if you guys got things you want to see, things that I can do that you guys will enjoy watching, let me know. Because Fluffy and I have been at this for a long time, and not a whole lot has changed, honestly. We're doing Pokemon and Minecraft stuff, and so if there's other things you guys would like to watch, I probably am going to force you guys to watch a Jack and Daxter series at some point, but I don't know. I don't anticipate big views on it probably, because you guys don't watch things that you don't want to watch, and even if it's great, you guys have difficulty moving over to things. So, which is fine. You know, I do the same thing with other YouTubers. You know, I don't watch everything that like Beef puts out. I'm not necessarily watching his Forza Racing series because like I just don't care about racing. Like it's you know, whatever. I love Beef, and everything he does is gold, but it's just not my thing, and nobody's got unlimited time to watch unlimited YouTube videos. But let me know what you guys would like to watch. I want to do what you guys want to see, and if I'm going to do what I want to do, but if you guys want to see it too, that's even better. So if we can find something that'll overlap, that's fantastic. So it's a Q&A. I give you guys a Q this time, and you got to give me an A down in the comments below. If you want to answer any of these questions for yourselves, I'd love to know what your favorite series is on my channel, or what you guys would like to see coming in the future of my channel, or things like that. That would be fantastic. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Over an hour and a half here. I don't even know if my computer can hold this file. Thank you guys so much for watching. This 500 subscriber special has been for you. Let me know what you guys thought. If you enjoyed it, leave those likes. I would love to hit a ton of likes on this thing, just because it's the 500 subscriber special. I'd love for it to be special, and you guys to help me do that. So again, thank you so much. I've been Tortimer the Gray, as always, and you have been great. Leave those likes, comments, and subscriptions for me, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.